Mr. Poilievre, it's hard to believe that it was just recently we had the Canada-only celebration at the Gordie Howe Bridge right behind us, supposed to bring both of our countries together more than ever, particularly when it comes to trade. We are in a totally different situation right now. My first question to you is, do you support the Prime Minister's decision not to take a trade deal? And do you support the retaliatory tariffs that may be imposed?
So two questions there. First of all, we need to see the deal that we rejected. So far, Canadians have not seen it. The Trump administration has seen it. The Carney government has seen it. Canadians have not seen it. And Canadians need to know what it is that we are rejecting. My view is that we need to fight for tariff-free trade. We can't have one-way tariffs that will deindustrialize the key and strategic sectors of our economy: aluminum, steel, lumber, and of course, most important of all here in Windsor, automotives. And so I want to know what was on the table and what we rejected. So we've called for the Prime Minister to release the text, reopen Parliament, and tell Canadians what his plan will cost them in higher prices and job losses, so that we can make a real judgment about where we go from here.
Do you think a fair deal could have been reached even in the first place with the U.S. president?
Well, you have to use your leverage. We have a lot of leverage. I think the Prime Minister squandered it. He, for example, made 7 or 8 major concessions before even getting to the negotiating table, whether it was going back on the Netflix tax, the digital services tax, the counter tariffs, agreeing to the president's demand on military spending, giving half the tolls on a bridge that Canadians paid 100% of the cost to build. He makes all these concessions and then arrives at the table with none of the chips to bargain with. And I think that made it a lot harder. So what I would have done is brought all of those bargaining chips to the table and used them to get what we want in return, which for me is removal of tariffs into the U.S. market.
Anything else in particular you would have done differently?
Well, I would have promoted the 1965 Auto Pack, which is in both Canada and the United States' interest. It would have required automakers to make one car in Canada for every car they sell in Canada, but likewise do the same in the U.S. That would have led to the doubling of auto production for both our countries, which is precisely what the president claims he wanted. And I believe that if he had proposed that, the Prime Minister might have been able to get our market open to the U.S. in tariff-free trade. 90% of the automotive parts and final products we make in Canada go to the U.S. We need to fight to reopen that market. So that's what we're proposing. Our Windsor area Conservative MPs are fighting every day to protect the auto sector, not just the assembly, but also the parts. And we're going to continue to fight for that tariff-free access so that Windsor can grow strong and the auto sector can be strong here.
I think it's a very frustrating time for many, as you mentioned here in Windsor. We know, according to the Auto Council, about 600,000 direct and indirect jobs are part of the auto industry. Many people fear that they might lose their job, they might lose their home. Any message to them?
We're going to keep fighting for you. We will not relent. Conservatives are on your side. We need a strong auto sector for our economy, but for our national security. It is the backbone of the manufacturing supply chain. We are also proposing to take all taxes off Canadian-made automobiles to encourage consumers to buy Canadian. We want to get rid of the industrial carbon tax and to bring down the cost of the parts that go in to the automotive supply chain. And we are going to continue to fight for a tariff-free auto pack to get our markets, to get ourselves open to the American market again.
I believe that you mentioned you were going to have a phone call or communicate with the Prime Minister since the end of the deadline. Have you had the opportunity to speak with him?
We haven't spoken yet, but I did send him a letter today encouraging him to reopen Parliament. We want to find out how much all of this is going to cost Canadians. I mean, over the last decade, Stephanie, I think you'll agree, it's been a very hard time for Canadians. Housing costs have doubled. Food bank lineups have doubled. We are the most indebted families anywhere in the G7. Mortgage payments are at their highest ever. Canadian families can't afford to pay any more for Liberal failures. We want a parliamentary debate on how we can bring down the cost of living at the same time as we fight for our jobs in this trade dispute.
Amongst the prime minister, the premiers, the theme that comes across here is unity. Is that the approach we should continue to take when we're dealing with the U.S. administration?
Yes, we have to be absolutely united in fighting for our workers and for our affordability. The Canadian people have suffered enough, and we have to come together and support the families who are facing the growing challenges of this escalating trade dispute, and come together to support our country.
Any last word for our American friends? As you can see, they're right over there. We do have a strong relationship on the ground with the Americans. Do you have any comments or messages for them? Clearly, they are facing challenges just as we are when it comes to these tariffs.
Yeah, my message to Americans is that we're better off friends. I know the American people love Canada. And the dispute we have right now is with the administration. But look, what does America need right now? It needs national security. We can help provide that because we have the strategic minerals necessary to supply military and God forbid, a conflict if ever that did come about. And secondly, what is affecting Americans' lives? Affordability. We can help bring down the cost of living for Americans by selling our aluminum, automobile, steel, lumber. All of those things are needed to make life affordable for Americans. So you're better off working with us. We'd be stronger, teaming up and trading again. And that's what Conservatives are fighting for.
And what do you make of all the different media outlets, the different headlines that we're seeing south of the border?
Well, I think there's a lot of support among Americans to renew our friendship. And we need to leverage, that's one of our biggest leverage points. Americans like Canada. The American people have problems with many countries around the world. Canada's really not one of them. So we need to leverage the goodwill we have among the American people. We hope that they will signal to the administration and Congress that tariff-free trade is in the national interest of the United States, just as it is in our interest here in Canada.
Okay, Mr. Poilievre, anything else you'd like to add?
Listen, we got to keep the fight. Don't give up. Better days are ahead. Our Conservative team here in Windsor are fighting for an affordable, safe, and self-reliant country, and I'm totally confident and optimistic we're going to achieve that.